Welcome to the acclaimed podcast, The Deep Dive, featuring your esteemed hosts, Andy Monitor and Drew Dinzik, powered by BetSperts.
Welcome to The Deep Dive. Man, they're just showing clips of the Mike McDaniel interview coming out of the tunnel for the second half, and he looks rough. Don't think he's enjoying this Dolphins season. I'm not enjoying this Dolphins season, so I'm feeling for you, Mike. All right, let's react a little bit to week 4. Let's talk about
not that long ago.
Talk about our openers. How do you want to structure these now? This is our first Monday pod. People are requesting the Spanky intro. We should.
Welcome to the deep dive. Who was the guy we met that we had the Asian restaurant food with? Big guy, ate vegetarian.
Dave.
Dave. You'd left because you had to get going. He did the best Spanky impression.
The best.
It was very good. I gotta get that guy to do it again.
I'm sad I missed it.
No, I figure let's just rip through each game. Let's give two or three quick thoughts each.
Okay.
Try to keep it brief. And we'll talk about the injuries as well, just as a quick reminder of who got hurt.
All right.
And we'll do it in order. Start
Thursday night football. Mike McCarthy is done. He's done. He's washed. I'm done with Mike McCarthy. I think the injuries to the defense matter a shit ton, and I think that the fact that they kept McCarthy as a lame duck this year was probably mistake number 6 or 7 in sort of team building concepts for Jerry Jones and company. And Jerry Jones is probably never going to win a Super Bowl at this point in his life. So bummer, but that's what you get for making bad decisions with your head coaching hire.
Yeah, ugly win, a Pyrrhic victory. As they say, both teams struggled on the ground, but Dallas had a few more answers, which they should. On paper, it should be a much better team than the New York Giants. They just had a little better.
So bad.
Yeah. I mean, the early down success rate wasn't good, but it was better than just, what New York was putting out there. No turnovers in that game until the final Hail Mary, which was surprising when I went back and looked at it. And it was just, two bad teams mashing it out. Neighbors has the concussion. Seemed like he had said he was going to be fine, but that is not his decision, as we know. And then obviously Lawrence and Parsons are huge losses. Parsons is looking like weeks with the high ankle stuff, and then Liz Frank for DeMarcus Lawrence, which is like a 4 to 8 week kind of thing.
I might have seen the last of them this year.
Yeah, that could be season ending if it doesn't get better. It's basically a foot sprain.
Yep, not good. Malik Neighbors, 1 billion targets, but concussed, falling. And just in general, the Giants are not a fun hang, and they're at a bunch of more super high-profile games, which absolutely sucks, including Week 6 primetime game against the Bengals. Whoop-de-doo. What was the first rotation, first in order on Sunday?
Pitt Indy.
Okay.
That's just the way I had it. That was a game too. Well, that had some meaningful injuries that maybe affected the game. It's not like Richardson was bad to start that game. He actually started out pretty efficient, but he is doing the Jaden Daniels impression. If he can do it, I'm going to get a fewer more car crash injuries, while I go through it. And hip injury, hip pointer right away. Flacco comes in. Fields was better than what we'd seen, but that's a defense you should be able to do that against.
Yeah.
And it was just one of those where there was a couple nasty fumbles in what was a close game that affected a lot of it. And Flacco didn't. Flacco did enough. That was not a game that looked like there was going to be a lot of scoring, and then it just kept happening. And I think Flacco did play a part in that.
I think it's fair to at least nudge up the Pittsburgh offense. Fields continues to play much better quarterback than I think any of us expected. There's
it was good.
Growth.
Yeah,
there's an arc there. Indy and Flacco. Flacco's maybe a more stable guy to rate going forward. My guess is it's probably going to be Flacco this week. I don't know that Richardson's going to be ready.
They're saying it might not be that bad. So I'm 50-50 at this point. We're going to see.
Okay. New Orleans, Atlanta, we skipped. God, how did the Saints lose this game? I thought the Saints were
real quick too
so much better.
On the Steelers, they did lose another offensive lineman. James Daniels, the guard, ripped ass Achilles, out for the season.
Damn it. I thought the Saints were excellent, except for the 14 points they conceded defensive special teams and the goal line, failure. Atlanta getting a win on a drive where their only offensive play was penalty yards is amazing. Yeah. And Young Ho Koo hitting a 8-yarder, unbelievable. Max Payne on Saints money line. I should have just taken the 2.5 points, and I would have been a winner.
Yeah, Saints for sure was the right side. The 2 defensive special teams touchdowns got this all out of whack with the late field goal, a lot of negative plays affected both ways. Atlanta throwing it a lot more than maybe we expected. And then still Pitts gets 3 targets for 0 catches, which is amazing that you've drafted this guy. And I know it wasn't this coaching staff, but you drafted this guy this high, and just the usage has been crazy. They only ran the ball 15 times in a game that wasn't like them trailing. I believe they led at half. I think they led going into the fourth quarter. So very, very odd kind of game state offense for them. You got the quotes from Morris afterwards where he says, what was it? Stats are for nerds, basically. I'm not going to listen to that. We're going to go by feel and play old school football. Willie Gay left with a hand injury. Taysom Hill hurt his abdomen, saying that's a different injury from what he'd had with the chest injury. So
Kamara broken
it's not
ribs.
good because, Kamara played through broken ribs. Sounds like he might just do it again. I guess we'll find out. I don't think the Falcons had any meeting. Troy Anderson did leave the game late with a knee injury. Haven't got an update on that. He matters. He's a good player, and he
short week too.
Yeah.
All right. Jacksonville, Houston was a wild one. Houston did not deserve to win this game in any capacity. Jacksonville found a way to lose. It felt like
they're doing that a little.
If they convert their goal to go at the beginning of the fourth quarter, I think Houston just loses. The final drive by Houston was solid, but there was a lot of this offense where I was screaming at my television because Bobby Slowick is scheming and sequencing is garbage. Houston and CJ Stroud and these weapons, Nico Collins, really, they're succeeding in spite of Slowick, I feel like. And Mason Rudolph just getting destroyed 15 yards behind the line of scrimmage.
At least it wasn't a helmet to the melon.
Yeah. I mean, Jacksonville is better than an 0-4 team. Trevor Lawrence is better than an a quarterback who should be rated in the bottom.
This is probably his best game.
This was probably his best game. But you know why you can't now get involved with the Jags is because the quotes after the game, Doug Peterson, he wanted to share accountability. And his words were chosen poorly, and he is going to be fired in relatively short order. I think Peterson is pretty much done.
He pulled the Office Space, like, why should I have to change my play calling? They're the ones that suck. Like, just really, really, really poor.
Yes.
His whole the tone he took was just not great. Like, you have to be a little more humble, especially when your record is not very good, buddy. I know. And Lawrence, I wrote that down right away. Lawrence looked a lot better. They had the advantages of the good luck on turnovers. Another game of the muff.
Yeah.
Lots of penalties on the Texans. That seems to be a recurring theme.
Yeah. Oh,
Collins is massive for them whenever he need him, though. That's
Tunsil is a walking penalty.
Yeah. Tunsil was in and out with an injury. I don't know if he's just banged up and that's affecting some of this, but he wasn't super great. They need to get Mixon and Tank Dell back. They're both day-to-day heading into this week. And then the Jags are just, they've lost a couple corners. They lost Louis Kahn, and now Josh Hines-Allen was ruled out with a concussion. So
Jags are in trouble.
Defense keeps getting more hurt.
Jay brings up the leave him in London. We are 3 weeks away from the Lane Kiffin Memorial. Leave him on the tarmac.
I'd love that.
I would guess that this is Ryan Nielsen's job in waiting, probably, because certainly doesn't feel like Press Taylor gets to stay once Doug Peterson.
No, that feels like a package.
Yeah, that feels like a package. Get the F out of here.
We called one Uber for you guys.
Yeah. If and when they make the move, like, hey, I might be trying to buy low on some Jags. We'll see. And the Jags could go win both their games in London, beat the Patriots and the Bears, and then maybe we feel different about these guys if they're 3-4. Who the fuck knows? Anyway, I don't know that they should be this big of a favorite against the Colts, but we'll get there.
Yeah. Yeah, we didn't mention at the top. We'll after we get through all these rapid fire, we will start firing on week 5 when we think about the week 5 line. So yeah, that's all I have for there.
Minnesota, Green Bay. Minnesota builds a insurmountable lead and holds the fuck on. Green Bay and Jordan Love, Andy, continues one of the weirder kind of anomalies where he is terrible in first halves and amazing in second halves.
I wanted to give him a little benefit of the doubt because it was the coming back of injury, playing with a knee brace against a tough defense.
What's the deal though? He's a bona fide slow starter.
I think the second part is very true though. Like once he gets into the flow of the game, he gets a lot better. Obviously the game state was a little bit conducive to him being able to find some yardage, get into the flow. But he had the benefit of a couple really good short fields. They had the muff punt, and that's muff count 3 for anyone at home counting. And they had the turnover, the strip sack on Darnold in good field position. The Vikings win probability didn't even really dip into the 70s. I mean, the score looks pretty close, but once the Vikings were able to get up by 9 really late, the game was in hand. I think that was probably good for Minnesota, though, as far as if this is going to be a playoff team who has, their sights set on something bigger, you got to play in some tight games. And maybe this one wasn't even all that tight at the end. I think they need to play a back and forth game here to, put a little pressure, see if Darnold and KOC can handle that late in the game.
Yep.
No real injuries in that.
Nope.
Look at obviously Pace and Turner. Maybe they're coming back here in the next week or two.
Sam Darnold, by the way, now your 6th choice for MVP.
Yeah,
amazing.
Green Bay is missing some defensive players / hurt defensive players.
They're
don't throw at Xavier. Don't throw at Xavier McKinney.
Throw it away from.
That was your advice.
Yeah. I think Green Bay is in trouble this week against the Rams, in my opinion. But we'll get there. Cincy Carolina was a game that happened. Cincy's looked fine. They scored 1 million points. Somebody bet the shit out of the under on this game. Why people continue to bet the under martingaling both Washington and Cincy games is beyond me. These are 2 very good offenses with very bad defenses on the other side of the ball.
How do you rate these offensive lines? As far
Which one?
Just generally, both of them.
Carolina, I think, is league average, and Cincinnati, I think, is top 10.
Yeah. It was one of those games where I have them both kind of in that 10 to 15 range. And it's crazy because, you could have seen this coming, and I wish I would have bet this, but 79 dropbacks, 0 sacks.
Amazing.
It's just crazy amount of toothless pass rushers on the 2 teams combined.
Yeah.
And it's guys who kind of run into sacks a little bit here and there.
Yeah.
No sacks for either team. Good running attacks to go with the offensive lines and, again, the bad front sevens. A little bit of a back and forth game to start, but obviously Cincinnati's a much better offense. And they lost another player. The Panthers had another.
Shaq Thompson.
Shaq Thompson.
Yeah, best linebacker is gone. So yeah, Carolina's defense now has got to be bottom 5.
Yeah, Josie Jewell is going to miss at least 1 game as well. Shaq Thompson is probably the season if that is a torn Achilles. And then Cincinnati had Trey Hendrickson. That was a neck stinger. He'll probably be fine. I was a little worried about Burrow. That spot where he got stepped on by the lineman.
Yeah, it looked bad.
His ankle should have been shattered. So I guess he's tougher than we think. That's all I'll say about that game.
Rams blew a game they should have covered against the Bears. Bears offense still looks quite broken. Bears defense looks quite good. No other thoughts. Bears defense looks top 5 to me.
They were good. The turnovers obviously were massive in that game. That should have been closer. I had a +3. Didn't have a good betting week, which take the good to take the bad there at all. Yeah, Caleb was a little better at times, but he still had some negatives. He just didn't have the big negatives.
6-yard field goal is good. God damn it.
Bad sacks, bad O-line. The bad O-line's getting worse too. Like Tevin Jenkins, rib injury. They're not getting any better up front. They got to start scheming away from that. I think they're trying, but I don't think they have a very good offensive play caller as well. It was just a game affected by massive EPA swings and turnovers. Yeah. It looks like McVay and Stafford can win games with a terrible cast of characters, but again, not with the big turnovers like that.
Yep. Rams are underrated by market, in my opinion, and by a lot. Denver versus the Jets was unwatchable garbage. The Jets ruined what would have been a really awesome day of Wong teasing by losing that game to Denver. The criminal coordinating by Hackett remains a huge problem for that offense. Could have squinted, and it sure felt like a Zach Wilson led Jets offense out there against the Denver defense that I think is not. They're good, but I don't think they're that good. This felt more like Jets dysfunction to me. Jets defense remains awesome. The Denver offense is fucking terrible too. Holy shit. Bo Nix is borderline unplayable, but he at least doesn't get sacked, I guess. That's good.
Bo Nix went through the game without a turnover or sack, which is impressive. But he also threw for 60 yards.
Dude, at halftime, he had negative 11 yards.
He had negative yards. It's a very, very upsetting stat line to look at. And like you said, the pass rush for Denver was more impressive than we've seen at times. They got 5 sacks. That was probably the biggest factor in this ugly game was the Denver defense. Early down success, sacks, late success on third downs. They were playing up quite a bit. Jets didn't really have injuries. Broncos obviously had Tyler Bidet with the scary injury. Sounds like he's fine, but might miss some time with a back injury. He's not a massive part of a terrible offense anyway.
Yep. Best call of the week, Tampa Bay money line. I still don't understand why Tampa Bay closed as small dogs once it was digested by the market that the 3 of the 4 most important players for Philadelphia were not playing. And then Tampa Bay took care of business. They just looked professional and solid. And they are now
that's another pass rush
of the NFC South.
Yeah, that's another pass rush that impressed me. Then, they really got after it, especially against a defense or an offensive line that should be able
did
to
great
handle
too.
Things. Yeah. Both spots in the trenches. Philly defense didn't show up. Not only not getting pressure at times, but they missed a ton of tackles. Yeah. And these are 2 defenses that are super gettable, but only one offense had their wide receiver tandem intact. And I was kind of with you there. Trey Palmer concussed for the Bucs. They lost Servassier Dennis with a shoulder injury, linebacker. Reed Blankenship left the game sick, but they also have a bye this week, so I'm less worried about that carrying over 2 weeks. If he's still sick in 2 weeks, then we got serious injuries. We'll have to monitor the health of the wide receivers and Lane Johnson as well. Hopefully people are able to cure, you should be able to clear concussion protocol after 3 weeks because the Eagles do have a bye this week.
Yeah, I think that's all fair. The Bucs on a short week are interesting. They have a bunch of injuries to monitor for sure. You just named them, but I keep a very close eye on their practice report tomorrow. I'm very curious to see if anyone's upgraded from DNP to LP. The Arizona Cardinals were heavy favorites to beat the Commanders, and the Commanders waxed them wire to wire. Jalen Daniels moves to monumental favorite to win Offensive Rookie of the Year, and he has been a very popular bet to win the MVP. And I would exercise plenty of caution with both of those because Jalen Daniels just played the 31st and 32nd best defenses back to back. And now he gets the Browns and the Ravens. The Bears are in the near future for him. The Steelers are in the near future for him. So Daniels is going to have to take some lumps and do some rookie growing here over this next 6-game stretch. And at that point, if he is still healthy and if he is doing what he's doing, making it look easy and is looking like a top 5 performer at quarterback, then Washington is all systems go to believe that they could make a push to get to a playoffs. But right now I'm very buyer beware on Washington. And if the NFC East wasn't broadly trash, I would be trying to throw more cold water on them.
Yeah. The thing is, if you play a league average defense and you're not able to score on every single drive like you've been to, that defense isn't going to be able to keep up. This is a team that has a chance to win the division because they're going to play a bunch of games they can win. They can outscore a bunch of these teams. And, maybe their defense isn't going to matter as much. We saw some nice things from their defense. I don't know how much of the blame I want to put on Arizona's offense. That's a game I'd like to rewatch at some point yet because it just felt like Arizona was terribly inconsistent. And I don't know what the big issue with their offense is. That's my biggest takeaway is like figuring out where it went wrong for the Arizona offense because this should have been a lot better for them. This game should have been an easy pickings for them as well. I know they're missing McBride, but I don't fully understand that. And I'm kind of in on Washington the way the league is. Maybe you don't need a good defense to make the playoffs. Like we've seen teams have really good offense, terrible defense, make the playoffs. Those aren't the kind of teams that win multiple games in the playoffs. No. This is a team that can get to the playoffs and be annoying.
Oh, for sure. Or at least get Jaden Daniels, get his stinker out of the way this year. This playoffs.
Yeah. That's ideal is get into the playoffs,
get some reps for your young man.
Lose to the Bucks or something and get him some reps. And he wins rookie of the year, no doubt, if he plays the 17 games. MVP feels like a silly bet. They're just not going to give that to a fucking rookie.
Yeah.
I don't know. He'd have to have some sort of crazy year.
Speaking of MVP bets, Brock Purdy was incredible for the Niners. He is playing the second best quarterback right now after Josh Allen, in my opinion. And he took it to Patriots.
Pieces missing.
And a bunch of pieces missing. All of the credit you wanted to take away from Purdy last year, that it was the weapons, it was the scheme, blah, 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 blah. Well, they're running really difficult stuff now. He is the shortest time to throw out there. His average depth of target is among the deepest in the league. Like, this is kind of crazy that this is what he's doing.
He's doing a reverse Mahomes.
He's doing a reverse Mahomes. That's right. And he looks amazing doing it, honestly. And the Niners are still very fucking good, even though they're very, very injured. And he's going to be in a lot of high-profile games, and he's going to win a bunch of them. So if you made me take one shot on MVP right now at price, it would be Purdy.
God,
the Patriots are awful, man.
I was thinking about that the other day. I'm like, God, are we going to do this for a second year? Yeah, they're just so banged up, and he's still looking more efficient, pushing the ball further down the field.
Yeah.
And, I mean, eventually they should
under pressure all the time, too. Not mattering. Yeah. He's still just efficient as hell.
Getting Kittle back will be big. Getting, Debo, Kittle, everybody back to full health will be massive. Maybe CMC's back for the end of the year, and that helps things, too. But Fred Warner's one to watch. He left in the second quarter with an ankle injury.
Yeah, he matters a lot.
He mattered. He was huge in that game. It felt like he was the MVP of that game. He didn't even play half of it. So watch him.
People were calling him Defensive Player of the Year leader after the game, and I was like, no. Yeah. I mean, he should be considered, but they're not going to give it to a linebacker.
I mean, he would just have to have so many more games like that where he had big counting stat days for turnovers.
Yeah.
I mean, he was so good, but keep an eye on him.
Cleveland was one of the more heavily supported sides as we had a midweek mutiny with players on the Raiders making business decisions and electing not to play. And Cleveland got bet favorite, and they lost. And I don't have a strong opinion about whether it was the rightful outcome. I think Cleveland probably should have won. It was just a little bit fluky at the end. The sack on fourth down was huge. And I think I think Cleveland's in a buy low spot. I'm not as nervous or worried about Deshaun Watson as I was after week one. It looks like he's starting to do some things right. And I don't really feel that way about Las Vegas, but how they got that win, considering the state of that locker room, is pretty wild.
Bit of I'm trying to think of the right analogy. I almost went full O. Henry, like gift to the Maggie. Like Watson was good in that game. Honestly, that's the best I've seen Watson play.
That's the best I've seen him too.
That offensive line is so beat up and playing so poorly right now. It was hard to even see that. Like, because I kept looking back at him, like, is he playing okay? Does he look better? Because he's just constantly under pressure and constantly getting hit. I think he was better, but yeah, it might not matter with the offensive line they have out there. Amari Cooper is a shell of himself. That pass that was an absolute dot to him. That somehow he pops straight up in the air where there's three guys around him. That was the easiest interception that guy will have ever. So it was not a game I was involved with, but boy, it was annoying. And if they start to get healthy and Watson starts playing a little better, Njoku is probably going to play this week. Nick Chubb is nearing a return to practice. Like, they just do have to get healthy. Their center got hurt too. He exited. He came back. Pocic. Sounds like it's a tennis name. It's one of those Serbian tennis names we have. But he was banged up. They can't afford any more injuries up front.
Yeah. We'll get to Cleveland in a minute because I do not agree with that.
Do you think Devontae Adams or Crosby plays this week?
Crosby, I think will. I think Crosby's actually just hurt.
I think Crosby was actually hurt. Yeah.
I think he's actually. I don't think he's active. I don't think he's business decisioning. I think Devontae Adams is clearly business decisioning. They need to just deal him and get that over with. KC, speaking of dealing a wide receiver, I know they wouldn't do it in division, but the absence of Rice will be felt. Travis Kelce sighting. He's not washed apparently. The Chargers offense looked 32 out of 32 for most of this game. Some of that was Spagnuolo and the Chiefs defense, I assume, but boy, oh boy, if you have a limited mobility Herbert and these weapons and you're trying your hardest to generate a running attack with a limited offensive line, you're going to look bad.
Line is so beat up. And they just stuck with it too. They stuck with it. And
even though the second half against Pittsburgh, that was the same shit, man.
No, but it was hard to blame them because they had the lead too to start with. Like, they were in a position where, like,
it was the same against Pittsburgh, though.
I know, but I'm like, maybe they can pull this off. And obviously, it didn't work out with a couple big plays. That's all it took. I did bet the Chiefs under this week. I forgot to tweet about it at 43, but 42.5 still a bet. Like, those are two of my favorite defenses coming together, and two offenses that are kind of trending down from where they were starting, especially with what we're seeing from the Kansas City, offense and how short they're going to have to throw the ball.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. Buffalo shit their pants. Baltimore came ready to play and throttled the Bills. That was a pretty lopsided sharpness and effort, I would say, and you can blame a lot of that on Buffalo, but Baltimore gets some credit for showing up and playing that hard and being that well prepared. I would have to say. It doesn't change my opinion that Buffalo should still be higher rated than Baltimore in general, but I wish I could take it back. So
yeah. Obviously not the greatest spot coming off the big win in the short week, but it still felt like this should have been a competitive game. I know the game state dictated some of this, but my God, they ended up.
Dude, when these guys get sacked, it's like minus 15 yards.
Oh yeah, they're all just like 12. It's Warren Moon used to do that where he'd scramble around. And it's like, oh God, it's like an 18-yard
sack.
Just
going back. Why is he still going backwards?
At a certain point, you should go down. But Buffalo was so bad on third down. Buffalo lost. They had the bad fumble. Like, it just wasn't going their way. The Josh Allen sacks were like that too. It was 3 for 27. It wasn't usually when you see the Josh Allen sacks, it's him scrambling and getting his ankles taken out and he falls like a half yard behind the line. Like, he took some big sacks too. That one where he had two guys after him, couldn't get away from it. It was, the trick play. I hadn't even gotten to the trick play. Really bad time for that to blow up in their face.
Yeah, that was egregiously poor. I think the Buffalo Bills are a team that I don't know that is capable of comeback from big deficit like this, right? Like, if it's one-score games, if it's one-score games, that's fine. If it's a good defense, not so much. And I think we learned that the explosiveness of the passing attack just isn't there with the weapons they've got. They're not going to be able to hit explosive plays. They have to be methodical, and it's tough. All right. A little frustration for Mr. Tyreek Hill. We almost got a touchdown there.
I'd be pissed too. Like, that's not what you signed up for.
All right. Let's talk about this week's games, unless you have any other closing thoughts.
No, I don't. Week 5.
Huge contest for NFC South division supremacy as Tampa Bay goes to Atlanta in a short week. My numbers make this Atlanta 1.5 point favorites. My total is 43. I'm probably not going to bet the game unless I get good injury news from Tampa Bay, in which case, go Bucks.
Yeah, any good news on the defensive side for me would probably throw me onto a Bucks money line. It's a Thursday. I know he's coached before, but it is a younger, less experienced coaching staff on a short week.
Right.
And we don't love Bowles, but he's been around the block a few times. And I mean, Tampa Bay's offenses look pretty good 3 out of 4 weeks.
Yeah.
So I'm willing to take a risk on an Atlanta defense I don't really respect. And I wonder if we don't see some over money into this. Just it's a couple of defenses that probably are very gettable at times. So I lean Tampa. I lean over. I don't love an over on a Thursday though. It's tough to really put the offense together sometimes for some of these coaches.
Yep, agreed.
London calling for us.
Yeah, I'm as high as anyone on Minnesota, Andy. I've upgraded them consistently every time we get new data. I don't love this spot for them. I don't love this matchup for them. And my numbers say that the Jets are a bet. I think the Jets should be small favored.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm at 2.4. I'm nuts on right here. I probably won't adjust my Vikings number.
So what is your power number for the Jets in general?
I downgraded them a little. That was one thing I did move. Okay. So basically, I downgraded them a point.
Okay.
Across the board, based on just like if there's going to be pass rushes that I didn't have a lot of respect for the pass rush in Denver. It was Cooper and nobody for me, and a bunch of guys got home. So I don't know if this offensive line is that good. I have Minnesota close to 5. I have the Jets under 4.
Okay.
Travel will come into play. We'll see if somebody fucks up the travel, but I looked at this at first. I'm like, ooh, Minnesota 4-point whatever, and I still had home field built in.
Okay.
Like,
I haven't bet the Jets
I don't need to bet. I don't want to bet
that. I haven't bet the Jets yet, but my numbers are saying to do it. I mean, I need to re-watch that offensive performance, and either that'll.
I don't think you're getting. I don't think you have the personnel in the passing game to beat Minnesota secondary right now. Wilson's not doing what we hoped he'd be doing at this point in his career. So the Jets, are going to have to rely on defense here, and this total is 40.5 for a reason.
Yeah. Okay. Carolina at Cincy. I'm sorry, Carolina at Chicago. I did not ever think I was going to be here at this point in the season, but my numbers say bet Chicago.
Yeah, I'm making 4.6.
Yeah, I'm 5.1. This took the Panthers got bet a little bit today too. Even with the defensive injury news hitting the wire, this is down to 3.5. I think this is pretty obviously the best unit on the field is going to be the Bears defense, and you don't really need this is a perfect breakout get right spot for Caleb. You have playing a team with no linebackers.
Well, even just like Roshan looked like he had a little bit of life. They lost Derek. They lost 2 linebackers. It wasn't a good defense to begin with. And who's Andy Dalton played? So the Raiders.
Yeah.
The Bengals.
Yeah.
I mean, where do you have those defenses?
Raiders are league average.
Raiders
Bengals
are
a
little
bottom
above average if they're healthy.
Bengals are bottom.
Bengals are very, very bottom. Yeah, I mean,
this defense is good for the Bears, and especially at home. They're going to put some serious pressure on Dalton. Dalton could look pretty bad in this game.
Yeah, Carolina going on the road, playing a tough defense. I think
there's a lot of narrative swirling in this one with the trade. This one's going to get a ton of narrative coverage.
Oh, I hadn't even thought of it. That's fun.
Bears, Panthers, yeah.
It's like every time that the Bears would play the Chiefs. Like, did you know they could have drafted Mahomes? No one had brought that up.
Oh, and now we learned that Tom Brady considered going to play for the Bears too. How about that?
I know that's a tough look.
I think this is a breakout spot for Caleb. We'll see. I'm gonna end up betting the Bears. I haven't yet, but I like that look.
I'm very much in alignment there.
Okay.
I don't see a world where I haven't touched some of these numbers yet, but I don't see a world where I'm upgrading Carolina. No, I don't see a world where I'm downgrading Chicago for any reason right now.
Yeah, if anything, the defense for Carolina has to come down. Baltimore Cincinnati is a really tough one for me to square. My numbers say Baltimore should be 3.5-point favorites here, and it's 2.5. And this is another one like you just had a home game where you looked like gods, and it was in prime time, and now you're playing a divisional opponent on the road. Is this a trap? Is this a trap, Andy?
It's kind of a trap, isn't it? I'm closer to market.
Yeah.
I'm closer.
I don't want to go first rodeo here. I don't want to be a first rodeo clown here, betting into a trap spot.
Baltimore runs the ball so much. I want to look at that matchup. Like if they're successful running the ball, there's going to be fewer 87-yard touchdowns. I think. Like this total's high.
Are there? The Bengals tackling is so bad. They have no interior defensive players.
I don't think it's a big difference between them and the Bills in my ratings. The Bills are
Bengals.
I have the Bengals lower, but I don't know. I just don't see the touchdown rate being that high. I just think 51's a little higher.
Oh,
and some of that might be the Bengals just not scoring very much.
Okay. Actually my fair total is 46, so I agree this is an underlook, but I'm kind of more inclined to play Baltimore because it's on the right side of the key.
Yeah, it's a good look. It's tough to lay points in a divisional game like that, but if your number's bigger, it's not a bad spot for it because Baltimore's looking like they're figuring it out, and they might just be a running team.
He needs it though, man. Since he needs it more.
They do need it. God, they need this one. What do you do like if you lose this game?
This is a loser leaves town matchup, Andy.
It's very much a loser leaves town. So I'm inclined to play that under.
All right. I'm inclined to play Baltimore, but I'm not sure yet. Buffalo, Houston. I am dead on this. Well, actually, I make this a pick. I make the total 48. What say you?
I think Buffalo is 0.3 points better. So I'm basically on the pick as well. And I'm pretty close to this total.
Okay.
Total didn't move off the look ahead. It was 46.5, still 46.5.
Yep.
Look ahead was, I think the look ahead was 1.5 as well. So I mean, it flipped, but across the zero is not concerning, I guess.
Okay.
Obviously we have a few.
I'm probably gonna play this. I'm probably gonna play that over 46.5 on the right side of 47. I make it 48. I think it's gonna be a back and forth scoring kind of game.
I'll have to look at that one. So let me. I got to slide over to my
questions about the Buffalo defense right now.
A lot of questions. So yeah, obviously I make that a massive. Yeah, I'm at like 49.
Yeah.
Huh. Yeah, you would think that'd be matchup plus for both offenses.
Yeah. No opinion for me on Indy Jacks. I can't get involved with either of those teams without knowing more about quarterbacks and knowing more about the Jags playing for Peterson or not, or playing to get him out of there. One or the other. Defensive personnel for the Jags also a huge question mark. I'm not sure the Jags should be favored in this game. This should probably be a pick 'em, but who the fuck knows without. So
I make Indy favored by like 0.5 point. And
yeah,
I don't know if I can pull the trigger because they're super beat up on defense as well.
Yeah.
We saw a better effort from Trevor. It's a home game, really back against the wall game. So I don't know if I can feel good about playing them in that spot.
Shower fart game of the week of the year: Miami, New England. No, thank you. Cleveland, Washington. Let's jump right to that. This is the biggest. This is the biggest miss for me on the opener.
Really?
This opened 33.5 in favor of Washington. I am nowhere near that. In fact, this is kind of a shocker, I have to say.
Do you know what the look ahead was?
Was it Cleveland -2 or 3?
Yeah, it was. I think it was Cleveland -1.5.
Yeah, that's not far off where I make this. I'm at Cleveland -0.5.
Yeah, the adjustment is probably a little too big here.
Not just adjusting it to flipping favorite, but flipping favorite across
the 3. It's going to be a really hard click, but it's a click for a lot of people, I think.
I bet Browns. All right, this is the only bet I've already gotten in the book.
Oh, I didn't want you to like this because it
3.5, man.
So right now, without adjustments, I make it a straight pick. I'm going to give some upgrades to Washington and watch the Cleveland injury stuff, but
I think this is a little bit of a rude awakening for Daniels. Here's what a real defense looks like in the NFL.
Yeah,
we'll see.
Oh, it's not going to feel good.
No opinion for me on Vegas Denver. My numbers don't agree that this should be Denver -3, but I also my numbers have said bet Vegas every single week, and I haven't been doing it because I just don't know what's going on there.
The 2 massive injuries that matter for Vegas, and then I also make Denver favored by about 0.75 points. So the 3 is a little too much. If I had to bet this, it would be an above average Raiders defense. If Crosby comes out and he's like a full participant on Wednesday, yeah, I mean it's probably people are going to grab that. That number might not last. You're going to want to grab that +3. It feels like any sort of good news for the Raiders, and this closes, 2.5. Those 3s might not last. Total is supposed to be nice and low, right? 36.5.
36.
It was 39.5 on the look at. So
hey, man, last time I make it 39.5. And when's the last time betting an over 36.5 bit you in the ass? Oh yeah, tonight. So yeah, no thanks.
We might get there. We're at 25. No. We're at 25 going into the 4th.
We need a defensive score at this point. The Arizona San Francisco number is interesting to me. The 7 is not correct, I don't think. I think San Francisco should be more like 10 here, but without knowing if Fred Warner is going to play, I can't fire on this one. And I don't really love laying this big of a number in conference, or in division. So too many questions
I'm just shy of the 7, but I haven't made any adjustments down for Arizona's offense. So obviously miss McBride and probably need to upgrade Purdy a little. I had to ding San Francisco for some injuries, and it wasn't a good defense they played, but I mean the scheme looked good and the defense is really starting to pick things up again. So yeah, I'm probably pretty close to 6.5, and I'm fine just staying off this divisional game at that price is something I'm not super interested in.
Green Bay is close to a pick for me against the Rams. I think 3.5 is an absolutely ludicrous price. Rams all day.
I'm more on market there.
My Green Bay defensive number right now is not good.
I think that's where I'm going to be. So I'm going to be downgrading Green Bay's defense. But I don't know if I'm going to be able to downgrade or do anything to upgrade the Rams. It looked about what you get when you have those.
Eric Jackson's back.
Maybe. I think that's more of a question mark. Alaric Jackson will be limited in practice this week. Kupp is not coming back. Troy Reeder is limited, linebacker. Demarcus Robinson will be limited with a groin injury. Christian Watson, Devontae Wyatt matter. Maybe Christian Watson doesn't. At times they still have so many guys who can catch the ball. I know some people had made a case for an over. It's some defenses that are probably getting downgraded in the market, especially from the beginning of the year. Over doesn't seem crazy to me. Although maybe it needs to be a second half over if that's the way Jordan Love's going to start games.
Seahawks can't play defense to save their lives, so I doubt they're going to be 6 or 7 point favorites against the Giants. We'll see. Dallas, Pittsburgh, I'm on market side and total. Not going to have any action there. Actually, I'm a little. No, not going to have any action there.
I'm a little bullish on Dallas, which isn't going to be a bad idea.
No,
I have to downgrade their defense bunch.
Yeah, same. In fact, I was going to say I might end up betting that over.
Almost.
Yeah, Pittsburgh or a Pittsburgh over, something like that. And then the Saints, I'm at 3.6, so I bet Saints +5. You bet the under?
Saints under, yeah. That was 42.5, 43. Look at it was 44.5. Guess that should have been a bet. I would lean Saints there as well. I can't. That look ahead was 6.5. I can't even get to 5 right now with the way their offense is playing.
No,
I know it's at home, but I make those teams a couple points different. So I'm at like a 3.5, 4. It's not like a super key number, but yeah, I would lean Saints, and I'm definitely leaning hard under. I did bet that today.
Short field for the Titans. We might get another field goal here. We'll see. Okay. All right.
So I'm going to join you on the
dude,
Bears. I'm going to join you on the
Seahawks.
Bears. I'm betting the Bears
Seahawks
3.5.
defense, man. Fuck.
Bears 3.5. Baltimore
3.5.
under is
Okay.
maybe. Buffalo Houston over is a maybe. Actually, no, what? Buffalo Houston over is a bet. I'm joining you there.
Okay.
I make that closer to 49, and then I did bet the KC under. What was the other one? Oh, Rams Green Bay. I'm gonna look into that over.
Rams.
I wish it weren't. I wish it were more like a 47. But ifs and buts, candy and nuts, guys.
Yep. Okay. That sounds good. Let's touch base tomorrow or Wednesday and finalize these things. And let's see if this.
Yeah, I haven't been on this. I haven't been on the page. I've been reading the comments and all. If there's any questions before we go, otherwise we'll let you guys go. I'll release this podcast ASAP, and we'll see how Julian Love got hurt. That's not good. He's a tackling machine.
Christ.
That's all they need is a defensive injury. If they can hold him to 3 here, which they can't, that would be important.
Oh man.
Although
this is a rough one, man.
Gino's got
I'm
30,
so bummed
30
that
completions.
Yeah, 30 attempts already.
30 attempts. He'll have 30 completions.
Oh
And I don't know how Tennessee got the ball in Miami territory again. We have to check on that.
my God, what did he do?
Downs.
Touchdown. Damn it.
I was hoping it was the other oh my God.
Yeah, I was hoping it
There's
was
2 oh my gods. Donaldson.
Yeah.
Wrong one.
Damn it.
Ish. Good job out of the half betting the look aheads. I need to be better about that on
Nice.
Fridays because the ones I've circling for the most part have done okay. All right, I'm gonna hit the music. We'll catch you guys. Enjoy this. Hit the thumbs up if you watched on YouTube. Just rate, subscribe.
He caught the touchdown. Christ.
Oh,
I hate that. I hate this. I hate this shit.
Amon Ra threw the touchdown. Well, I'll be damned. We should have bet over 3.5 passers through touchdowns in that game, I guess. So I'll hit the end here. We'll see you guys.